Shalom, I give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, I give abundance to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you sincere Aki who push his word across the four corners of the earth. And this lesson is entitled, "And the Love of Many Shall Wax Cold, Part 2. And this is a main prophecy, or one of the main prophecies that Yahweh Shai spoke before his second return. And this is Matthew 24:1. And Yahweh Shai went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahweh Shai said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down, because all prophecies are going to be fulfilled. And just to link that up, this is Mark, the 14th chapter and the 49th verse. I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and ye took me not, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. And this is Yahweh Shai talking. He's saying, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. So everything that's detailed in this Holy Bible is going to be played out. Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai said that he's not a man that he should not lie. So we hearing all these type of events, all these horrific stories, all these different murders and rapings and kidnappings. That's due to scriptures. It's due to biblical prophecy, because it says that the love of many shall wax cold. And this is the point of the video. This is Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity should abound. So as long as the so-called white man, who are the biblical Edomites according to the scriptures, as long as he's still in power, this world's still going to be corrupted. It's still going to be wicked. It's still going to be dangerous, because the wicked is in control right now. As it said in Proverbs, the 29th chapter, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So that's the type of state of mindset that people are in right now, because the wicked are in rulership. The love of many shall wax cold. And throughout this whole video, I hope you all be edified. I give all honor and glory again to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I give abundance again to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you sincere Aki. Shalom.
A horrific murder outside Chicago, where authorities say an expectant young mother was kidnapped, killed, and her baby taken from her womb. As horrific as this story is, pregnant women are targeted far more often than you might think.
It's the horrific crime shocking the nation. A pregnant woman strangled, her baby ripped from her womb with a kitchen knife. Marlon Ochoa's loved ones in Chicago are inconsolable today.
I can't even pretend to imagine what that family's going through right now. They should be celebrating the birth of a young baby. Instead, they're mourning the loss of the mother.
Cops say the 19-year-old mom-to-be was lured to this house with the promise of free baby clothes by a stranger she met on Facebook, who claimed, "My girl has all new baby clothes her son never wore." When Marlon got there, cops say 46-year-old Clarissa Figueroa strangled the teen, cut her baby out of her womb, then called 911.
The caller gave birth 10 minutes ago, 46 years of age. The baby isn't breathing.
Here's Figueroa in the hospital, pretending to be the gravely ill baby boy's mother. Acting on a tip, cops conducted a DNA test and discovered the baby could not be Figueroa's. Her house was searched, and Marlon's body was found in a garbage can in the backyard. It's a barbaric act that happens more than you think. 22-year-old Savannah Graywin was 8 months pregnant when a neighbor invited her into her apartment upstairs. Brooke Cruz admitted performing a crude C-section.
I grabbed her blade. She was not dead when I cut her and took her baby out of her.
Savannah died, but her baby girl survived and is being raised by her father.
911. Tell me what happened.
She cut me.
In 2015, Michelle Wilkins, who was 7 months pregnant, was offered free maternity clothes on Craigslist when she was attacked with a bottle.
She picked it up and she smashed it over my head, and that's when I held up my hand. I said, "I don't know why you're doing this. I love you." And she said, "If you love me, you'll let me do this."
What did she cut you with?
A knife. I'm pregnant.
Michelle survived, but her baby did not.
The only thing that I've really felt consistently in the wake of all of this is just complete disbelief and complete shock that someone could do that.
Psychiatrist Gail Saltz.
But most of these cases have had a woman who either lost a child could not have another child and felt desperate to replace that loss. The idea that one could cut open a woman and take her baby seems particularly savage and horrific.
New developments this morning surrounding the driver police say is responsible for a crash that killed 3 teens over the weekend. The 31-year-old woman is facing multiple charges this morning.
This comes as the community held a large tribute last night for those young soccer players who were trying to get to a tournament. CBS 4's Riel Crane is live at a Ventura Hospital where that suspect is being treated this morning. Riel.
Good morning, Mary Bell and Lauren. Yeah, the woman that police say was behind the wheel at the time of that crash, they have now identified that driver late last night. This as she remains under watch here in the hospital. The police say they now have what they need to make an arrest. As North Miami inducted its new mayor and commissioners Tuesday evening, the council paused to remember 3 teenagers who lost their lives over the weekend.
We do understand tonight is our induction ceremony, but at the same time, we can't forget those 3 teenagers who died last Saturday in this terrible accident.
As the mayor was being sworn in, North Miami police working the case, looking into 31-year-old Miriam Coulibaly, found at the scene of the crash behind the wheel. Police now say they have probable cause to charge her with 3 counts of DUI manslaughter and 3 counts of vehicular homicide.
I'm her mom. I don't want to be on the picture.
No?
I just find out this year I don't know anything. I don't want a picture.
Coulibaly's mother had nothing to say to CBS 4. Surveillance video from early Saturday shows 3 people walking over the tracks on 125th Street and 13th Place in North Miami. It was about 5:15 a.m. Moments later, a car races across the screen. The 3 teenagers who simply were trying to catch a bus to get to a soccer tournament. 17-year-old Richard Dumais, 13-year-old Gideon Desir, and 15-year-old Lenz Desir all died. Family members have had a really hard time understanding how 3 boys who were doing everything right are now gone.
They should charge her, for what she did. She took 3 boys' life. They have a bright future ahead of them.
1, 2, 3.
At Edison High School, where Dumais and Lenz attended, students released balloons and tried to make sense of it all.
He meant so much to the program. He was a good kid, dual sport kid, everything that I look at him like my son.
Going to school today was very depressing. The school was down. A lot of kids knew him. He was a good kid. He greeted everyone when he walked in the room. He was a good kid, always smiling.
Coulibaly has a long history of traffic violations, from speeding to driving on a suspended license. According to investigators, her license was suspended Saturday. Police are now watching her at Ventura Hospital, where she is recovering from injuries that happened during the crash. Again, those charges pending for Coulibaly. She is to be charged with 3 counts again of DUI manslaughter, 3 counts of vehicular homicide, as those funeral services are now being planned for those teenage boys. We're live in North Miami. Riel Creighton, CBS 4 this morning.
A teenager is dead after a shooting that happened at this home on Larchmont Drive. Now family members tell me that this house has several bullet holes. The shooting happened just after 10 o'clock last night. Police say 16-year-old Jaleesa Everett was hit and killed. Family, friends, and neighbors are in shock that she is no longer here, and they say she just celebrated her birthday on Sunday. They add that there was another shooting on the same street just a few days ago, and this same house was targeted then as well, but fortunately no one was injured. At this time, Jackson police say they do not have a suspect or a motive in the shooting. Anyone with any information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers immediately. In Jackson, Shalika Powell, 16 WAPT News.
To Chicago now, where at least 38 people were shot over Memorial Day weekend. 7 of those victims have died.
38 people. The city typically sees a spike in gun violence over the holiday weekend. This comes despite police and community efforts to combat shootings. So for more on this, we want to bring in Mike Puccinelli. He's a reporter with our Chicago station, WBBM. Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. I mean, that number, and I know we expect sort of a spike in violence when there's a long weekend. It's the unofficial start of summer. We see this in a lot of cities that are struggling with violence. But in the 30s, that's got to be sort of a dismal record breaker.
Well, it is pretty dismal, but believe it or not, Anne-Marie, it's actually an improvement. We're looking at numbers in 2016 of about 70 total shootings. And then in 2015, there were actually 12 fatalities during that same Memorial Day weekend. So believe it or not, this is actually an improvement, and they hope to build on the quote-unquote progress that's been made.
So what is the reason? I think a lot of people are going to look at this, Mike, and wonder, why has violence gripped Chicago over Memorial Day weekend for years? Is it because you get a lot of people that are congregating at outings, concerts, family barbecues? I mean, it's so hard for people to understand why the violence spikes at this particular time of the year.
I think a lot of it is what you alluded to. I mean, in Chicago, we've really had for many years, we don't have a great spring. We're often waiting all spring for spring, and then it seems to arrive typically on this weekend. And of course, it's the holiday. People are congregating outside, and there's gang rivalries, and that tends to come to a head, especially on the south and west sides of the city. When people are congregating outside, we had one particular one on the near west side where there was a shooting at around 1:30 in the morning, and then about 4 or 5 hours after that, they went back, and there was another shooting at the very same place, the very same block, possibly a retaliatory shooting. So it's a cycle of violence that is very hard for law enforcement to get their head around.
First, we want to check in on the news, and unfortunately, New Orleans is seeing a rash of violence over this Memorial Day weekend.
That's right. 5 people have been killed and a lot of other people injured in shootings in 2 parishes. Duke Carter is live to break it all down for us. Duke.
Good morning, ladies. Yeah, it was a completely violent weekend in the New Orleans area. 11 people were injured, 5 wounded, and this is all according to our partners at the New Orleans Advocate. So the latest one happened, which is what NOPD they're currently looking into.
2 young women shot to death a day apart. Tonight we are finding out there may be a chilling connection between the murders. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig has the clue that could lead to a killer on Detroit's east side.
Detroit police say these 2 murders could very well be connected. The shooter in both cases driving a black Chrysler 300.
I mean, it's too much of a coincidence that the same car, you know, a make and model has been identified at both, you know, scenes.
Loved ones of 24-year-old Nyree Henderson devastated. She was gunned down Monday night on Guilford Street, not far from Chandler Park Drive. Nyree was in her car with 2 others when someone driving a black Chrysler 300 drove by and opened fire on them. All 3 people in Nyree's car were hit. Nyree, the mother of 2-year-old Carter, was the only one killed.
You know, when my phone rang, he'd be like, "Is that my mommy?" Or he went to her room and was like, "Mommy," you know. But no, he doesn't understand right now, and there's really no way to explain to a 2-year-old about his mother will not be coming back.
Detroit police now trying to find out if the same person who killed Nyree also shot and killed Destiny Reed a day earlier. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning on Mother's Day here on Van Dyke near Mack. Destiny had just parked and was walking to a house when someone in a black Chrysler 300 drove up and shot her. Detroit police investigating a possible connection between the 2 murders, a connection that could be tied to gangs.
There's just so many young women that's being murdered here in our city. And it's like, this is something that just didn't used to happen.